so this is it. This is day one of the Ager Open 2021. So we're at Ager in Spain. The competition starts today, and there are 71 pilots just in the main class. And then in addition to that, there's the sport class and the rigid wing class. Not sure how many pilots are in those, but there'll be around 30 or 40 in total. So a really good turnout, and as you can see behind me, there's Huggins gliders here, so it's really good. So if you've never seen a hang gliding competition before or don't know how it works, I'll just explain it. So basically each day the task committee will set a task for us to fly around, and it's a race to fly around that task. And what happens is we are given a takeoff window, so we can take off between certain times, and then a start window. It's a bit like a boat race. So you might take off between 1 and 2 o'clock, and the actual time when you can start the race might be 2 o'clock, 2:30, and they have start gates, which are often 2 or 3 start gates at 20-minute intervals. And when you cross that gate, when you cross the line, you're timed from the time back to the last start gate. So if there's a start gate at 2 and another one at 2:20 and you go at 2:15, then your start goes from 2. And it's a race around that task, like I say. But it's also important to get around. If you don't get all the way around the task, because bear in mind we've got no engine, then you get judged on how far you got. It's points according to the distance that you achieved. There's also other things involved like lead points, and but I won't go into that detail. It's just, all you need to know really is it's a race. So we're waiting for the briefing now. There'll be a briefing to tell us what the task is, and then we'll be launching in the launch window. The task is, because there's so many pilots, they have what they call an ordered launch. So you take off in order of your ranking. On the first day it's supposed to be your world ranking, and then after that it's rankings according to where you are in the competition. Although they've had a computer problem today on the first day, and they've just said rig where you want. So rigged where I want, which is fairly near the front, not the first one, but one of the first to go off. Good idea if you're in a competition. Here's a tip: get in the air as early as you can when there's less people there and it's less daunting. You're not taking off into a sea of gliders, and you're able to establish yourself and use the other gliders that take off after you in order to find the best thermals, because you're probably above them by then. So that's my intro. We'll get briefed soon and hopefully have a good flight. Okay, darling, I've got that. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Taking off. First task of the competition. Key now is to get up and get established. Getting used to flying with lots of other gliders again. That's the key thing now. Zipped up my harness yet. That's looking good over this way. In terms of there's one lone glider going up, so no battle for position. I'll take this thermal. Okay, so the first task is to get up high until the start gate opens. I've got nearly an hour to get comfortable and get high. So I've got to get up high and wait for the start gate. So I'm going to turn you off and just get into it. A slight problem, I went to adjust my radio volume and my volume knob came off in the end. Oh no, what am I going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do without radio. Just have to tuck this away somewhere. Right, without it, not really a problem. Unless I've got it stuck on full volume, people start talking to me. Then I've got a problem.
So I'm just on the edge of the start cylinder. It's fairly weak actually. For Ager, I'm at 6,500 feet. Basically 22 minutes before the start. Not particularly high. But then again, no one is.
Everybody's jostling for position. Conditions are not that good. Sort of at 6,400 feet now. But because the conditions are not that good, everybody's trying to get the best position. Can't seem to get much higher than this at the moment. So you have to be really careful flying in all this traffic. That's why everybody's turning right hand. So it's right hand 360s. And that was part of the briefing at the start. You must turn right hand 360s near the start. As the test gets going and people get spread out, then you can go whichever way you want. But they have asked that when we're near a turn point or the start, we do right hand 360s. The task involves a ridge race that way, then back that way, and then back that way again. Initially, that's because they're expecting the conditions to be better later, so they're keeping us on the ridge until the conditions get better, and then we're going into the Trent Valley and the more difficult part of it. So, good idea now is to be as high as possible, as close to the start as possible. 5 minutes and 24 seconds before the start. So it's a real fight now to get in the best position. So I'm just joining that fight, switch you off and I'll concentrate.
This might be a lot more tricky than we thought, Darren. This could be a really tricky task.
Okay, task has started, but nobody has set off yet, because nobody's very high. I was in a really bad position, but I've got in a bit of a better position now. Seem to have found myself a bit of a thermal just before the start. So a few people are setting off now, lower than me. I'm going to go with them. We're going to be going from not very high, 6,500, 6 kilometres to the start. It's worth a go. just have to see what happens. Taking the first turn point low. I'm actually the first person to do it on the flex swings. I'm in the lead. I'm really low, so that's not good. Well, I'm heading back towards the cliffs now. Hopefully I can get up on the cliffs and soar along them. The rigid wing that went before me, I see just ahead. It's thermaling up. So I'm going to go for that. This guy overtaking me above. Oh, I'm not in the lead. There's somebody else in front of me. Bugger. Oh well, let's catch up. Well, turns out I was nowhere near the lead actually. Loads of people in front of me, including Steve. I just didn't spot them. Anyway, I am now back on the cliffs, heading along the cliffs. The idea now is to try and soar the cliffs until the next turn point, which is quite a way in this direction. So this is an area where you can soar as opposed to needing to thermal. You don't need to get high because you can soar along a lot of it. So I'm going to try and just soar along as much as I can without even turning, because doing that means that I'm faster en route. So let's see how far I can get without turning. Well, the camera's stuck on. Not the first time that's happened. So I'm on the way to the second turn point. 5 kilometres away. It's in a village called Corsa, which is where we actually stayed last year. So I'm hoping, I'm at 5-6 at the moment. I'm hoping I can get most of the way to the village without turning, but we'll see. There are people coming back from it. So I'm getting some good air, flying through a few thermals. 3 kilometres from the turn point. This is good. Whoa! Just flying straight through a lovely thermal without stopping. I've been going up most of the way, or at least not going up, but I've gained since I set off from this climb. 1.5k to the turn point. And I'm not stopping in it. There are some monster thermals that I am not stopping in. And we're going to go back again now. This is where I see everybody that's chasing me. And there we go, there's Steve chasing me. Right now, this is not very promising. good, Steve. Go up a little bit there, just enough to get nearly onto the main ridge. I'm going to try and soar up it now. Me and Steve together. Here we go. Soaring up this ridge. Jumping the gap business. Gone over a bit lower still than I did last time. I've arrived on the other side at 4,400. Starting to find little bubbles of lift. This time I've jumped it closer than I did last time. It's working. Yeah, it's working. Just soaring up it nicely. Woohoo! Just what we wanted. After the gap, soared along the ridge, and now we're heading to the turn point that's out to the east. Still not able to get really high, and this one's another bit of a bottle job going out to valley. I'm 1 kilometre away, and when I hit this turn point I'll have to turn back to the ridge and try and get back up. Currently just under 6,000 feet, so I'm above takeoff height, but that's all relative. I have to try and get this turn point and get back up high, because then we've got big valleys to go. So I'll keep you posted. Getting pretty desperate here. So, task 1, day 1, and I bombed out. Found that really tough. Went over the back of that hill, no clouds nearby. The highest I could get was about 6,800, and it just petered out at that, so I thought there's only one option, and that's to go for it. So I went for it, but didn't make it. I was in good company. I was with Paul Harvey and Steve Penfold, and both of those people know exactly what they're doing. However, they've ended up landing here with me.
You guys in the lead then? You were?
So, you know, we've gone from hero to zero, the three of us, very quickly. But at least I'm not on my own, and I'm not like bombed out because I was totally rubbish, just half rubbish. Because Paul's with me and Steve's with me. Like I said, both of those know exactly what they're doing. So I really peed off because on the first day I've not made it to goal, and people will make it to goal and we'll be right down the leaderboard now. However, on the plus side, we were in the lead at the time and we haven't seen nobody come overhead yet, so we'll see what happens. But all in all, a good learning flight. I was fast, which was important. We tried to slow down back over that way when we got what seemed like a bit of a bubbly thermal, but it just didn't go up. It went up for a little bit and then it stopped and it was going down, and it was like, what do we do now? What do we do? There's nowhere to go, and we've ended up in this landing field, which isn't a bad field to be fair. I ended up in an upslope and a nice smooth landing, as you saw. So task 1, day 1 done, and ready for task 2, day 2. Task 2 on day 2. The important thing for me and for other people doing this is when you bomb out, not to let that turn what was otherwise a really good and enjoyable flight into rubbish. It's about your perspective, and it was a really enjoyable flight. I did enjoy that flight. I had fun being in the lead. I had fun with my mate Steve and my mate Paul, and that's the thing to focus on, and also focus on the learning points rather than focus on bombing out, which is what I'm going to try and do. So like I said, I will see you tomorrow for task 2. See you soon.